Hello, everyone, and welcome to another game of, or another match of Little War Games. Today I'm bringing you a game played on Ravaged AA4. This is a live game, so it's happening in real time. As I'm recording it, the actions are being played out on the map. Today I am recording this game played by NorM, using the red pieces in the top left corner of the map. Looks like he's going a standard barrack strategy versus his opponent, Silverboss, who is playing the blue pieces, also going for a standard barracks opening, potentially into that fast raider, most likely into that fast raider. And then we'll get to see how that plays out. I'm very excited to see how this goes. If you're new to my channel, I try my best to post content daily. So every day I try to make a new little war game video, whether it be AA4 1v1 or maybe some other kind of game modes that exist here on the page. But usually I just try and bring some awesome 1v1 games. Also, if you're interested in playing in a Little War Game tournament, one of the Little War Game players, Hobo, you've seen him in some of my other content, but he is hosting an unofficial online tournament specifically for AA4. So this will be very interesting to see how this Raider micro happens. It looks like NorM decided to ghost first, and Silverboss gets ahead with his Raider as a result of blinking and then being able to acquire his target just a little bit faster than his opponent was able to. Okay, interesting play there. So it looks like Silverboss being on one Raider was able to juke out NorM's second Raider. This is very interesting because I noticed that Silverboss only went for one Raider at that exact moment, but the fact that he was able to keep his Raider alive versus his opponent meant that, well, it basically meant that it would be a 1v1 against those two Raiders, even though this one specifically had a little bit less health. I think if it were me, I would still be trying to send these Raiders across the map, trying to do a little bit of harass, and especially trying to kill this worker at this castle. That would be my highest priority at that point. Let's take a look at what NorM's trying to do. So basically just going for a standard castle, going into a second barracks pretty soon here. I imagine he's going to get another house at some point, really causing the start of his economy game. So, he's already doing some. He's blinking back. My goodness, did you see that? That was that was quite the interesting thing. Just the amount of blinking back and forth. Oh, it looks like they were trying to blink on top of each other, but they basically may have outthought each other. I'll write a comment and see if they respond to those. That is the benefit of playing this game live, is that I'm able to make comments. Obviously, I'm trying not to spoil any of their opponent's strategies, but if they do decide to say anything in all chat, that is the benefit of getting to see these games live. I'm obviously not trying to distract them at this point, even though I do sometimes comment in the chat. So Silverboss going for not necessarily a Raider rush, but he is going for a little bit of more Raider harassment. It looks like the tech of choice that Silverboss is going for as a result is this advanced workshop, and it looks like eventually he'll be going into airship play, where he'll be able to take these raiders that do survive from this specific encounter, and then putting them all on an airship, and then doing a little bit of harassment in his opponent's main base. So I suspect, yeah, he's got 2 more raiders coming up. He'll get an airship on the way. Once he's done with this, he'll probably, once he gets more workers, he'll probably go for a 3rd base, and then he'll feel like he's in a good spot to play a little bit more macro while at the same time expanding. NorM, let's go ahead and see what NorM is thinking about doing here. So looks like NorM is not focusing on tech just yet. Rather, he is basically trying to make sure that he's got a strong army on the map, as well as going up to this 3rd base. So my guess for what Silverboss was trying to do turned out to be true. He did go for that airship. He will load these up, and then he will probably head over to the main base of his opponent to try and do some damage. I do like this move that NorM is going for, where he's sending archers into the base to try and repel any possible airship play that is coming, which, in this case, airship play is coming. So that'll be very interesting to see. I'm also very interested to see at what time NorM decides to go into tech of his own. I've played a couple games with NorM in the past, and it's very common, I think, for NorM to go into, well, usually some very early tech, actually. Typically what I've seen NorM do is I've seen him go 1 barrack, go into the 2nd castle, and then go into tech, but it looks like he won't be doing that quite yet this game. It'll be very interesting to see how this pans out. Let's go ahead and see how many workers was lost. Looks like about 1 worker was lost, and 1 raider was lost in that engagement. So very interesting. Both players very lucky not to lose more. Very made sure not to try and lose more. I do like this though. Definitely keeping NorM on his toes, especially having these units come out and then do a little bit of harassment. If these soldiers aren't backed up by anything, I do like this idea of sending out some units to basically just do some harassment, get the workers pulled. And once this happens, you basically say, okay, I'll just put my units back in. Let's go ahead and keep an eye on production at this point. NorM did go for his tech of choice. He decided to go into priests. I imagine he'll get another barrack at some point, and then he'll probably focus mostly on getting a solid ground force, as well as some priests out to really complement that ground force indeed. Silverboss, I've got to say, he is floating a few resources. I think it would be good for him to get maybe 1 or 2 more barracks, even get another base, just making sure that he spends all of his resources, and that way he has all the value he could possibly get on the map. Production, so he is going for watchtowers. So he's building a watchtower here, making sure that he is defended at home, which is ideal, especially when we see that NorM has this considerably large army coming out on the other side of the map. Silverboss doing a good job of keeping an eye on where NorM is positioned in the game. So I think this is very well played. We're getting about to the 9-minute mark here, where both players have settled on 3 bases. They have their eyes set on a potential 4th base. As we can see, NorM is going for his 4th base at this point. While basically having their opening strategies all set, and then ready to go into the mid and transition to the late game. So it'll be very interesting to see here. Silverboss doing a very good job of flanking NorM's ground force there, and he's done a good job of getting a lot of these archers. I think eventually I'd like to see more soldiers to support these archers, and it looks like that is the idea that Silverboss is going for here. For NorM, I think he's gone up to a great amount of production. So he's got 4 barracks, 1 church, 3 bases. I think that's absolutely perfect. And then once he's got this 4th base up and running, then he gets 2 forges, and then he starts up his upgrades. He'll really be in a great macro spot to continuously spend all of his money to basically have a well-oiled machine and perfectly running in order to establish himself in that late game and have as efficient of an economy as possible, I think. Keep an eye on production. It looks like for Silverboss, he is going for this detection upgrade. So if at some point, he does know that his opponent does have priests. I don't think NorM does not have invisible or invisibility upgraded just yet, but it is absolutely possible that at some point NorM could get invisibility, and so I think it's a good play for Silverboss to get the detection for his airships. Silverboss getting 3 additional barracks, so let's go ahead and look how many buildings. So he'll add these 3, so he'll be up to 5 barracks. He'll also have a church of his own as well as an advanced workshop for that drop place. So it'll be very interesting. Just a little bit of raider movement on the map. Silverboss building some towers to try and stop any potential castle being built in the top right corner of the map. NorM going for an aggressive play of his own. So he's got his army kind of set up here. He's got priests ready to fight and ready to really deal some damage to his opponent. We do have some raiders coming in on the back, so that'll be very interesting. We'll have to keep an eye to see if that changes any of this fight. Looks like he held fast a little bit, but it'll be really interesting to see. So these archers are a little bit clumped here, so it'll be very interesting to see who wins this. They both have priests. They both have plenty of archers to go around. They can definitely dish out a lot of damage. It'll be really interesting to see who flinches first. And it looks like NorM decides at this point that he cannot keep this engagement going and win. The good thing, though, here is that NorM is doing a really good job of producing at home. He is going for his upgrades. And, Silverboss is doing the same. And they're both doing a very good job of getting their reinforcements to come back and help out with these engagements. But yeah, it doesn't look like NorM is going to be able to win this fight if he continues going on at this point. It looks like NorM did go for a 5th base, which is going to be better for him in the long run. But like I said earlier, the fact that this watchtower is here is definitely going to make it a little bit harder for NorM to establish this base here, because it's just going to keep doing damage to his workers. So I would suggest sending probably some archers or soldiers to deal with that there. So it'll take a little bit of time because NorM's got to deal with this army, and he's going to get notified that something's going on over there. Also be good if I know this is something I introduced to my own play, but I like to check on my bases, specifically their saturation, and if they're oversaturated, then I adjust that. So this is a live game, so occasionally this does happen where we get some lag, so it's going to stink when it does. It sucks, but there's both advantages and disadvantages to the spectating a game while it is live and going on at the same time. We do have mages coming out for NorM. I don't know where the mage building is, but or the mage guild is, but we do have mages coming out. And it looks like NorM is getting up as close as personal with his archers to try and deal as much damage as possible. And so with that move out, NorM tries to Silverboss is going to try and establish a base of his own. So, like I said earlier, this tower is really going to make it hard for Silverboss to get this 5th base of his own. it's really just going to harass this this castle, and it's going to give Silverboss a lot of information about what's going on at that point. Where is that mage guild? There it is. Okay, so it does look like we have a mage guild coming up, and I imagine that combination of archer, soldier, priest, and mage is going to be the ultimate composition that NorM wants to go for, especially when going up against Silverboss's own plays here. We do have castles coming up. We do have forges for Silverboss is what I meant to say, but they haven't been starting their upgrades. So maybe I should type in chat and let Silverboss know that, hey, you need to work on your upgrades, but at this point, I can't really do that because that would be an unfair advantage, I think. So NorM having these mages, I'm very curious to see how he's going to use them here. Whether he's going to use that slowing ability that they have to really make sure that these archers can't kite, or if he's just going to try and damage them with their fireballs will be very interesting. Getting rid of this base would be a good idea. At the same time, Silverboss is doing a very good job of sending over soldiers to harass NorM's base and really stop him from being able to work. Oh, I just missed it, but NorM did use those fireballs to deal a lot of damage to Silverboss's force here, and really put in that effort. So just remember that NorM is on 400 resources right now, and Silverboss is on 1,500, so more than 1,000 more resources in Silverboss's bank than his opponent. But I really have to commend the fact that even though Silverboss has that much resources just sitting in his base, how much he's been able to produce, accumulate on the map. I'm really impressed by that. Very, very impressed. Very impressed. But at the same time, you know, it would be good to, instead of having those resources in your pocket, to have them in the form of army, in the form of upgrades on the map. So definitely not definitely not saying good job to Silverboss for doing it, but despite that, I feel like Silverboss is playing a very good game. And so is NorM, especially with his tech choices. I think that has been especially remarkable this game. This is actually very similar to the way that I like to play, going for these priests, going into forges right after, and then eventually, depending on the play, maybe going for some ballista, but I thought it was really well played. So, good game by both of these players. If you want to see some more of this content, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're interested in that tournament that Hobo is hosting really soon, Hobo is hosting a tournament coming up pretty soon, and I'll leave a link to that in the description if you're interested in joining and playing some competitive games of Littlewargame. All right, I hope you guys have a great day. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Bye-bye.